What's up, Keep Pounding Nation? How you guys doing today? I am back today with another video. Today is the Panthers versus the Steelers in Pittsburgh, preseason week 4. Let's get into this. I have taken some notes, and I will give out the final grades. We're going to get into each position as I normally do this, and just grade by position and talk about each position as I go along in the video. And we're going to start with the quarterback position, and I rate that a B on a scale of A to F. Quarterback was a B. Here's why I say this. Not a B plus, not a B minus, but a B. Average B. Heineke looked okay. He made some good reads. Generally. There were a few bad reads that I was not happy with, that I thought he could have done a little bit better with in that first quarter. Mostly you heard more about Cameron Otis-Payne than you did about Heineke. You saw a lot of his passes go either into forced coverage or covered man-to-man wide receivers that just were not open, for the most part. And Pittsburgh tightened up their defense pretty well in man-to-man, so it made it difficult to get separation. So I don't totally blame Heineke for that, as crazy as that sounds. Because Pittsburgh's defense was playing on a high level tonight. Second string and third string. So the O-line looked really good protecting him. So any of those passes that he overthrew or made bad reads on, that is 100% on Heineke. Then you get into Gilbert, who didn't exactly have the best showing today. He made a few bad reads himself, forced some passes himself. So I wasn't real thrilled with him either. But again, that Pittsburgh defense, in man-to-man, made it incredibly challenging with no separation. So finally, we're going to get into my favorite man, Kyle Allen. Kyle had a fantastic night. The first two drives didn't really show it, but once he started to find that chemistry, that was it for him. And Bonifant, once he and Reggie Bonifant started connecting, he knew where Bonifant was going to be. He knew where his wide receivers were going to be. He knew the plays, which was very encouraging for me. When he got pressured, he knew exactly when to throw it away. When there was a blitz, he knew when to get rid of it. His internal clock was very good. His decision making was very good. His quick and accurate passes were very good. And I'd have to say, he impressed me a lot tonight. And he looked like the Kyle Allen that I've been looking at in training camp. So I was very, very pleased with him. And that's why you see that B grade for quarterback right there. Otherwise, I would have made it a B minus. Because I was not thrilled with Heineke or Gilbert today. So, getting into the next section, running backs, A minus. I say A minus because there's always room to improve. A running back, some of those 2 to 3 yard runs, we didn't exactly push for more yards, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah. Like I said, there's always room to improve. Some of the holes were not as prominent as I would have liked. Honestly, Bonifon at the end impressed me a little bit more because he started out not hitting the holes as quickly as I would have liked until the last 2 drives. And then he started pounding those holes and he started putting in that hustle. And I was very impressed and very happy with that. That's why it's an A minus. So wide receiver B plus, and I say B plus because we did have one drop. And I'm trying to remember who that was. Oh no, I've got it in here. But yeah, we did have one drop. But overall, really nice job by the wide receivers. I was very happy with them. There's always room to improve there. We had trouble getting separation at times, especially in the fourth quarter, because Pittsburgh's pass rush started stepping it up and making it interesting for Kyle Allen. So we did have to end up going to Bonifon a lot of those times, which I would have preferred that we got some separation to wide receiver and gotten some passes there. Speaking of wide receivers, that last touchdown that we got, the setup for the Reggie Bonifon run for that touchdown, there was a wide receiver along the sideline, and I think it was Austin Duke. I could be wrong, but I think it was either Austin Duke or I'm going to go ahead and call it Austin Duke because I could not see the number because they panned it out back to the interview again of whoever it was they were interviewing. So I did not see who that wide receiver was, but I did see the play. He extended it and got an extra 7 yards and a missed tackle. Very, very impressive. And got us to the 2 or 3 yard line. That is the hustle I'm looking for at wide receiver. So that's why I rated a B plus. The offensive line, as I mentioned earlier, A minus with always room for improvement. They looked really good in the past 3 games, and they look great today. So, even against that pass rush, they still did a decent job. Third and fourth string. The only person I've got questions about is Kyle Friend, the third center that we have. That's 2 false starts today. And I think he committed 2 false starts in the Patriots game as well, if I'm not mistaken. It could have been a holding call, but I don't remember. But I'm not looking too positively on him right now. I just wanted to mention that right now for anyone wondering about the center position, because I don't know if anyone noticed that or not. Defensive line looked good. B minus. And I say B minus because we didn't get the push that we really needed to get to Kyle Rudolph and Doss. But overall, I was happy with it. I was satisfied. We did get the push that we needed to stop runs. The run stopping has been very, very good so far. I've been very, very happy with that. We did miss some tackles today, which is a concern. But that can be easily fixed in practice. We defensive end, as I mentioned before, B minus because we didn't get the push we needed. You didn't really hear any of those defensive end names today at all for sacks or tackles for a loss. You didn't really hear them, or you didn't see the names called for them. Linebacker, I'll change that to a B minus. I originally had a C plus, but I'll change that to a B minus because of Ben Jacobs. And he looked okay to finish up, but originally I was questioning his coverage and what he was doing overall with play calling. But I'll get to the play calling part in a minute. I want to finish each position first. Free safety, B. Always room for improvement there, but overall he did okay. It was just coverage issues because of play calling. Safety, B minus. Southward. Let me get into Southward here. And this leads me into my next segment, which is the Jekyll and Hyde segment. And I'll tell you why I call that segment what it is in just a second. But Southward, he had some coverage issues, he had some tackling issues, but at other points he got the job done. Alright, so here is why I call this the Jekyll and Hyde segment. You have one side that does everything right. Tackling, limiting the yards after the catch, coverage, you name it, they did it right on those particular plays. And then the other side, you've got the same players that get lazy, take plays off, which lead to scores. In particular, Southward, they don't finish the tackles when they have the angles, and they have the wrap up, and overall they look sloppy. And I'm just thinking, you can't have that going into the regular season in your depth chart. You can't have that. It's either one or the other. You pick one. And the 3 players I've got on this list for the Jekyll and Hyde segment are Southward, the safety. Gunter at corner, and Ben Jacobs at linebacker. You know, I'm starting to wonder if I should scratch off Ben Jacobs because the first half wasn't exactly his fault necessarily. It was just bad play calling. You know, and that's not necessarily the player's fault sometimes, as it is the defensive coordinator. Sometimes they get outsmarted by a very, very good quarterback or a good offensive coordinator. So I'm all of these defensive grades that I put out there are have been impacted by that, and those grades are what I ended up with after I've already taken that into account. So I did want to point that out, and finally the penalties. Now here's the thing: 3/4 of those penalties were a load of crap. And I don't say that lightly. There's just no other way to describe them but a load of crap. Both of those roughing the passer penalties should never have been called. You know it. I know it. Everybody in the Panthers nation knows it. I don't know why they were called, but the rest must be enjoying their down payment on their next yacht because that was ridiculous. The pass interference call, which I thought was ridiculous because who was it? 31? It was Renzo Doss that they called that one on. And I believe the third quarter, that was ridiculous. He had his hands away from the wide receiver. I honestly don't. I don't know. I don't know on that one. It really makes you question every penalty that they called against us, whether it was legit or not. You know, I'm gonna give the rest the benefit of the doubt on about half of them because half of them were probably correct. You know, in particular, the holding calls on the line. Uh, Let me find out who that was that they. Yeah, Quasell. Quasell got called for 2 holding penalties this game that really made me question the ref's decision making as well. Um, was he guilty of those holding calls? I have no idea. I wasn't even really watching the offensive line when they called those 2 holding penalties. I was watching the quarterback and the wide receiver chemistry at the time. So I wasn't even aware, really, that there were 2 holding penalties. So I'm going to give the rest of the benefit of the doubt on this one. You might not. You know, that's your call. That's your choice to make, whether you thought that was a holding call or not. Drop some comments down below on that, whether you thought they were or not. There was the interception that got returned to the 1 yard line. Honestly, I thought it was a Pittsburgh touchdown. I thought it was a pick 6. And it was the old Tebow rule, you know. But his arm was going forward, so you have to rule that an interception. And out of nowhere, here comes Reggie Bonifon just hustling down the yards, down the field, and tackles him at the 1. And I'm just like, wow. Wow. That's why Bonifant gets the player of the game for me and the most improved today after his chemistry with Kyle Allen and his yards after the catch. For me, really sealed the deal for me for him being my 7 minute player. Instead of a 2 minute player, I'm going to extend that to 7 minute player. You know, he earned it. He absolutely earned it. So, with that, drop some comments down below uh, on what you thought about the game. Uh, Tell me about what you thought about my grades for the preseason. Now that the preseason is done, I'll be releasing a couple of videos before we start the regular season this week, previewing my predictions and what I think we have in store for this season as a whole, going forward long term and short term. So that is going to do it. Please like, sub, and hit that bell so you don't miss any new Panthers videos. As we get into the regular season, you'll start to see at least one video a week, possibly two or three, depending on what happens in between the week and my thoughts on what we should do, and injuries and whatnot. So, also, definitely make sure to check out all the rest of the videos that I've got up. If you want more thoughts on the rest of the preseason, feel free to go revisit some of the training camp videos that I've got up. And if you are new here, thank you very, very much for your subs and your likes, comments, and your support for the Panthers Nation and this channel. So, with that in mind, keep pounding. We'll see you guys in regular season.